Under the languid glow of a fading afternoon, the historic Grand Heritage Hotel, a venerable landmark nestled deep in downtown Chicago, glimmered as if brushed by molten gold. Its soaring, reflective facade captured the pulse of city life, each beam dancing across its surface like a secret shared in whispers. In this tableau of urban splendor, Noah Carter, a distinguished entrepreneur in his early 40s, emerged from his sleek ebony vehicle. Adjusting his tailored navy suit with quiet precision, he carried the weight of a day that promised both high stakes and hard-won triumph. Today, a pivotal business meeting awaited him, a moment that might unlock one of the most lucrative deals of his career. For years, Noah had forged his investment firm from the ground up, his reputation built on brilliance, meticulous accuracy, and unwavering integrity. Yet no sum of success could shield him from the biting chill of prejudice, a lesson learned all too often. With determined steps, he strode into the hotel's opulent lobby, where polished marble floors shimmered beneath the glow of majestic chandeliers. The Grand Heritage Hotel had long been a refuge for international dignitaries, top executives, and celebrated figures, but as Noah neared the reception, a subtle shift in the air foretold trouble. A young receptionist named Rachel, her practiced smile now edged with uncertainty, met his gaze with a hint of guarded suspicion. "Good afternoon, sir. How may I assist you?" she inquired, her tone courteous yet restrained. "Good afternoon. I have a reservation under the name Noah Carter. I'm here for a business meeting," he replied, his voice confident and even. As Rachel's fingers hesitated over the keyboard and her eyes flickered nervously between the screen and him, time seemed to stretch. After an agonizing pause, she murmured, "I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, but I can't locate any reservation under that name. Are you certain this is the correct hotel?" A quiet fury stirred within Noah, though his composure remained intact. He had weathered such indignities before. "I'm absolutely sure this is the Grand Heritage Hotel. I can present my confirmation if needed," he insisted. Before Rachel could reply, an impeccably dressed man in a refined gray suit stepped forward. Christopher Blake, the hotel manager, exuded an air of haughty authority, his piercing blue eyes appraising Noah with instant judgment. "Is there a problem here?" Blake asked in a tone that dripped with condescension. "This gentleman insists he has a reservation, yet our records show nothing," Rachel replied softly. Blake's gaze hardened as he addressed Noah directly. "Mr. Carter, without a proper record, we cannot accommodate you. We hold our standards very high here." Noah's temper flared briefly, though he maintained his calm. "I have the confirmation right here," he said, reaching for his phone. Before he could unlock it, however, Blake raised a hand imperiously. "Sir, I must ask you to leave immediately." In that instant, two burly security guards materialized as if from thin air, their stances rigid and their hands hovering near their belts. One intoned, "Sir, you need to exit the premises without delay." Under the weight of numerous scrutinizing eyes, guests, staff, and passers-by alike, Noah hesitated just a moment, weighing his options. The resolute glint in the guard's eyes left no room for argument. In a low, measured tone, he conceded, "Very well, I'll leave, but this isn't over," before turning and being escorted out like a condemned man. Outside, on the busy sidewalk beneath the towering hotel, Noah paused. His gaze lifted to the imposing edifice, a blend of anger and humiliation knotting in his chest, yet beneath it all, a spark of fierce determination glowed. Later that night, ensconced in the solitude of his penthouse office overlooking Chicago's glittering skyline, Noah replayed the incident on video, a recording captured by a bystander that had already ignited outrage online. As social media erupted in support and calls for a boycott of the hotel spread like wildfire, Noah, ever the astute strategist, made a decision that would forever alter his fate. With the sunset casting long, dramatic shadows over the city, he picked up his phone and instructed his financial advisor, "I want to buy the Grand Heritage Hotel, start the process tonight." The following morning, a delicate mist enveloped the hotel, its glass facade absorbing the soft, muted light of an overcast Chicago sky. Inside, the usual hustle of polished silverware, valet-arranged luxury cars, and casually strolling guests belied an undercurrent of disquiet. Whispers rippled among the staff, hinting that the man they had so brazenly humiliated mere hours before might return, not as a guest, but as something far more significant. Noah Carter's return was nothing short of a revelation. Clad in a sharply tailored charcoal suit that spoke volumes of authority and resolve, he stepped out of his car and approached the grand entrance with unyielding purpose. This time, he was not there to request a room or beg for respect, he had come to claim what was rightfully his. As he crossed the threshold, conversations halted abruptly. Rachel, caught off guard, froze mid-sentence, a blush of mortification creeping along her neck as she scrambled for words. From the inner sanctum of his former domain, Christopher Blake emerged, his erstwhile confidence now replaced by a strained rigidity. "Mr. Carter, what brings you back today?" he managed, forcing a smile as insubstantial as thin ice. Without uttering a word, Noah reached into his inner coat pocket and produced a thick folder, laying it firmly on the reception desk. Blake's eyes widened as he read the bold header proclaiming the Grand Heritage Hotel ownership transfer agreement. In a voice both calm and commanding, Noah declared, "Mr. Blake, as of midnight last night, I am the majority shareholder and official owner of this hotel. I suggest you gather the staff in the main conference hall immediately. We have urgent business to discuss." Blake's face drained of color. Any protest that might have arisen was stifled as he turned on his heel and retreated to obey the order. In the cavernous conference hall, now charged with an atmosphere of palpable tension, staff from every department gathered, front desk clerks, kitchen aides, housekeeping personnel, security officers, and middle managers alike. The air vibrated with anxious whispers, each person speculating silently about what would unfold next. Noah ascended a modest stage at the front, his steady gaze sweeping over the assembly before he began. "Good morning, everyone. I am Noah Carter, and as of last night, I am the new owner of this hotel." A murmur rippled through the crowd, a blend of shock and subdued trepidation. What happened to me yesterday was not a mere misunderstanding, it was a stark revelation of a long-endured, toxic culture, one steeped in prejudice, arrogance, and entitlement. That ends today. A heavy silence fell as his words sank in, his gaze briefly locking onto Blake, who stood rigidly at the back with arms crossed. Effective immediately, there will be significant changes. First and foremost, Christopher Blake, you are relieved of your duties as hotel manager. This is not open for negotiation, you will be escorted out of this building, and your severance will be processed by HR. I suggest you use this time to reflect on your actions. Almost ceremoniously, the same security guards reappeared, flanking Blake as his face flushed deep crimson with both embarrassment and fury. With stiff, hesitant steps, Blake exited the hall, leaving behind a silence heavy with implication. Noah turned back to the assembled staff, his voice rising with quiet resolve. "This is an opportunity for a fresh start. I am not here to punish anyone unfairly, but I will not tolerate discrimination, arrogance, or disrespect within these walls. Every employee, regardless of position, will undergo mandatory cultural sensitivity and diversity training. If you cannot align with this vision, you are free to leave, no hard feelings. But for those who choose to remain, I promise you, this hotel will transform into a beacon of excellence, not only in luxury and service but in integrity and equality." With his final words lingering in the charged air, the room filled with a mix of hesitant hope and silent defiance. In the ensuing weeks, the transformation of the Grand Heritage Hotel began in earnest. Noah set sweeping changes into motion, weekly training sessions, a reshuffling of middle management, and a commitment to elevating those long overlooked. One such individual, Jasmine Turner, had served as a meticulous housekeeping supervisor for over a decade. Despite her impeccable record and tireless dedication, she had been passed over time and again. In a quiet, heartfelt meeting, Noah remarked, "It's about time someone recognized your relentless hard work," and promoted her to assistant manager. Through tearful gratitude, Jasmine nodded, her unspoken promise to excel shining in her eyes. Not everyone, however, welcomed the winds of change. A small faction of disgruntled former managers and staff began to conspire in hushed corners, their whispers thick with dissent as they plotted minor acts of sabotage and resisted the new training mandates. During an unannounced visit to the employee break room, Noah overheard a group of staff complaining bitterly, "This place is turning into some sort of experiment." His quiet entry silenced every word, the room fell deathly quiet as every face flushed with guilt. "If you cannot adapt," he said calmly, "you are free to leave. But let me be perfectly clear, this hotel will succeed with or without you." One by one, the murmurs dwindled into reluctant acceptance. As the second month drew to a close, progress was evident. The Grand Heritage Hotel no longer exuded a cold veneer of exclusivity but rather a genuine warmth that touched every interaction. Noah walked the halls daily, conversing with employees in every department to ensure his vision was coming to life. Some staff departed, unable to embrace the new order, but many thrived under the revitalized, inclusive ethos. One evening, while Noah observed guests arriving for a charity gala from near the grand entrance, Jasmine approached him with a proud smile. "Mr. Carter," she said, "the staff wanted me to tell you thank you for giving us a chance to believe in this place." His heart swelled with quiet pride. Though he knew the journey was far from over, challenges still loomed, and minds remained to be transformed. 3 months later, the iconic hotel had undergone a profound metamorphosis, not only in its operations but in its very spirit. The once sterile luxury now vibrated with inclusiveness, staff moved with renewed purpose, and conversations sparked with genuine connection. In his top-floor office, as the golden hues of sunset bathed Chicago in warmth, Noah reviewed financial reports that told a story of remarkable recovery. The hotel wasn't just stabilizing, it was flourishing. Yet for Noah, numbers alone were not enough. The change had to be felt by every person who walked through those grand glass doors. The cultural renaissance took firm root. Mandatory workshops on sensitivity, leadership, and equality became the cornerstone of the hotel's revival, attended by everyone from custodians to senior managers. Staff meetings transformed into vibrant exchanges of growth and collaboration. Jasmine, now a respected assistant manager, led many of these sessions with warmth and firm resolve. During one such meeting, she addressed the room with heartfelt conviction: "This hotel is more than just a building, it's a reflection of who we are. How we treat our guests and one another defines this place. We have the power to make it a true home for everyone." Applause followed, though amid the clapping, Noah's eyes lingered on Brian Marshall, a former head of housekeeping now relegated to maintenance, whose arms were crossed and whose expression remained clouded with skepticism. Later, Noah approached Brian in a quiet corner of the lobby. "You've been here for years, Brian," he said softly, "and you know this hotel better than most. What holds you back from embracing this change?" Brian's shoulders slumped slightly. "Everything happened so fast," he murmured. "One day I was leading, and the next I was scrubbing floors. I've given so much to this place." Noah nodded, his tone both empathetic and resolute. "Leadership isn't about titles, it's about actions. You can choose to hold on to bitterness or step up and be part of something greater. I know you have it in you." Yet even as progress flourished, remnants of sabotage lingered in the shadows. A small band of former senior staff, those stripped of their former privileges, continued to plot behind closed doors. They whispered rumors among the newer employees, attempted to disrupt events, and sought to undermine Noah's authority. One fateful night, during a high-profile charity gala, a fire alarm blared unexpectedly, sending guests into a panic. Security swiftly determined it was a deliberate false alarm, a calculated attempt to sow chaos. Cameras later identified the culprit as Lucas King, a former supervisor demoted for refusing cultural sensitivity training. The next morning, Noah convened a staff-wide meeting, his voice resonant with authority. "Last night's incident caused needless panic and embarrassment. Let me make one thing abundantly clear: sabotage and resistance to positive change will not be tolerated. This hotel will move forward, with or without those unwilling to grow." Lucas was promptly escorted out, his termination marking a decisive turning point. In the weeks that followed, the transformation became almost tangible. Genuine warmth replaced the old, detached air, and every interaction began to reflect a spirit of hospitality. One particularly memorable rainy Tuesday afternoon, a weary family, the Johnsons, arrived at the hotel, soaked from their journey. Elliot, a young front desk clerk recruited under Noah's new regime, greeted them with an effusive smile, ensuring their check-in was both swift and comforting. Noah watched this exchange, recalling his own painful introduction to the hotel months earlier, and felt an overwhelming sense of pride. Later that evening, Mr. Johnson sought him out in the dining hall. Shaking Noah's hand firmly, he said, "Mr. Carter, we've stayed in luxury hotels before, but there's something uniquely welcoming about this place. It truly feels like home." Noah's smile was warm and sincere. "That's exactly the vision," he replied softly. The final test of this bold new chapter came with a visit from investors representing a major hospitality group. Their decision would secure the funding necessary to expand and cement the hotel's reformed direction. Noah personally oversaw every detail of the preparations. Old and new staff worked in seamless harmony. Jasmine coordinated logistics, while Brian, having redeemed himself through unwavering loyalty, ensured every detail was impeccable. When the investors arrived, they were met with flawless service, genuine smiles, and an atmosphere that balanced luxury with heartfelt authenticity. Among them, a sharply attired woman named Cynthia Moore approached Noah. "Mr. Carter," she said with a confident smile, "it's clear that something remarkable is unfolding here. This isn't merely a hotel, it's a symbol of transformation. We would be honored to invest in your vision. With the funding secured, the future of the Grand Heritage Hotel was unequivocally cemented. On a radiant spring morning, Noah stood on the balcony of his office, overlooking a courtyard abuzz with life, guests laughing, sipping coffee on the patio, and staff moving with a renewed sense of purpose. Nearby, Jasmine joined him, her expression beaming with quiet satisfaction. "We did it, Mr. Carter," she said softly. "No," he corrected gently, "we're only at the beginning." Below, Brian passed by with his maintenance team, offering a respectful nod. At the front desk, staff greeted every guest with genuine warmth and without a trace of the old suspicion. The Grand Heritage Hotel had transcended its former identity as a mere luxury establishment. It now stood as a beacon of growth, redemption, and the transformative power of change. Turning to Jasmine with quiet determination, Noah murmured, "Let's keep building." And with that, the hotel stepped boldly into its next chapter, a luminous emblem of hope in a world yearning for renewal.